When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. Tonight at Live Green Tennessee, we learn about cooking with locally sourced beef. Then we take a trip to a traditional butcher shop in Alcoa. And finally, we get you grilling tips from the GrillMaster Michael McDearman. All this and more coming up next on Live Green Tennessee.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on Live Green Tennessee. Michael McDearman is a grill master, author, competition barbecue cook, and television personality. He's also a Cookeville native who got his start grilling as a young boy who discovered a competition barbecue cook on his paperboy route. WCTE went to McDearman's outdoor grilling classroom to learn more about cooking with locally sourced beef.
At 7 years old, I said, "Mom, Dad, I want a motorcycle." And that's how my smoke ring started, that one question. Well, my parents bluffed me and said, "Go get a job and earn the money for it." They didn't think I'd do it. I wound up getting that paper route and slinging newspapers and riding my bicycle through the neighborhood. When I was doing that, I always found myself slowing that bicycle down. They were cooking outside. I was breathing deeper. I got a passion for it right then. But I was that nosy little kid, and I walked up to that neighbor, tugged on his pants leg, and said, "What you doing?" Wound up being a local man in Cookeville, Tennessee named Tony Stone. Now, Tony was a competition barbecue cook, but also went on to become the president of the Kansas City Barbecue Society, which is the world's largest barbecue organization. He was the first non-founding president, but he didn't know all that he had inspired me in that few minutes he took to tell me what he was doing. I actually, by the time I was 8, was finishing dinner for my parents when they got home from work. So I continued cooking for 35 years. And I wound up honing my craft, getting live fire cooking where we actually take any form of live fire and I can cook. It's all heats and eats, so I apply it. Even do my great-grandmother's cheesecake on the grill. So as far as that goes, a week before he passed, my mother went over and shared that story with him to let him know that the time he took was so valuable that it inspired my life and gave me my career. What I do is anything live fire cooking, whether it's out there private chefing, whether it's creating menus and cookbooks, videos for corporations, but I also have Get Fired Up Foods, this outdoor cooking classroom. Now, when I'm cooking in Tennessee, I love to go to places like Porter Road Butcher. Now, what that means is a connection. My family grew up in East Nashville, actually on Porter Road. Now, Porter Road Butcher is not located directly on Porter Road, it's right nearby. But the way that they approach things, it's the way that farm to fork movement feels, you know. It's an emotional feeling when you're doing that kind of good and that kind of eats and heats. When you approach the meat and you actually get to see them taking and butchering in an old style and custom cutting what you want, that means a lot. because it's an emotional tie all the way through. It's emotional because we're in the kitchen. That's the hub of the house, right? The grill, that's where we all go and flare our chests out and strike up a fire. But it's all tied in, and it's the love of food. And Porter Road Butcher carries that forward with what their process is. 9 months a year, I travel the pro barbecue circuit because I coach the 3-time world champs in steak. I'm the only grill master for Beef It's What's for Dinner, Bull Grills, which is a Tennessee-based company, by the way. Athens, Tennessee, they have a plant. Then Orca Coolers out of Franklin, Tennessee. They actually build the coolers in Sparta with Jackson Kayak. Then also Ergo Chef Knives, Heinz, and Coca-Cola. So I'm quite the notable grill master as far as steak goes. Everybody gives me a call to find out the tips. As far as finding the right beef, it's also relationships. Just like you've got in a relationship with your doctor, your attorney, whatever it may be, you also want to have a relationship with that farmer. It's a trust. What have you done with the beef? What have you fed it? What's that process? And then when they've told you and shared that process and you feel good about it, you can know that the processing plant will actually take good care because they actually want to have the most calm and comfortable situation when they're processing that meat. It makes for more tender meat too, and they want to definitely get you that. There's a growing trend in America, and we're looking more towards healthier living and as far as finding those sources for good food. We see all the shows, we feel all the emotions tied to it when we have events and things, but we're trying to get better food. And the great thing is when you go farm to fork, meaning you go to the farm that you actually purchase it from, see what the beef looks like, see what it is, and then it goes through the process. You take it home, eat it with your fork. It's a fantastic, you know what's in it, you know what it's eaten, its experiences, the healthiness, all the well-being and all that great beef flavor. And well, it doesn't matter the product. There's eggs, there's everything. I mean, all the farm produce that is being sold in those beautiful little sheds on the roadside, it's fantastic. One of my dreams at Get Fired Up Foods was to build an outdoor cooking classroom. It's how I got inspired in my smoke ring to actually start down my barbecue path. So I wanted to teach folks. Now this outdoor cooking classroom has a little bit of everything. We can cook on live fire, directly on coals. We can cook on ceramic cookers. Now whether it's directly on campfire style cooking with Dutch ovens or directly on those coals and embers, or whether we're going to come to these ceramic cookers which actually radiate a lot of heat inside. Now you can smoke on these, you can grill on these. Now smoking is a lower temperature, grilling's hot and fast. And then you can even bake on these. Now these are oval shaped, so it actually gives you more capacity. Once it gets heated up to that temperature, it's going to continue to heat for a long time. It takes very little fuel to maintain. This one typically uses lump charcoal, which is straight wood charcoal, or briquettes, which you might find in bags in stores. Now going from a ceramic cooker, we actually have a bunch of different styles here. I'm going to take you to one you might recognize. It's what a lot of folks have in their backyard with a propane grill. Now with propane, again, it's heats and eats, but it's the convenience of the fuel. You just turn it on, warm it up to a preheated temp, 15 minutes, you're cooking. With what we do with a propane grill, we can do it all. Because you've got multiple burners, you can actually smoke and cook indirectly. You can cook directly, which is a grilling technique. And then you also can bake because you can use water baths or insulating water pans to shield from the direct heat, and so you'll get more convection just like you do inside in your oven. Now going from a propane grill, we're going to take you over to one that I'm particularly fond of. Now this is actually going to cook with charcoal, wood. You can use a variety of fuels. Now this was started with a company that created it from the bottom of a buoy, so it looks like a kettle. Now this kettle grill will be what I show you how to cook great steaks on in just a few minutes. What we've done is preheated the charcoal and put it in there from a chimney into the unit. We'll be cooking on that in just minutes.
It wasn't that long ago when you could go to the market and ask the butcher for a choice cut of meat. The butcher knew you by name, could explain which meats were best, and offer advice on the best ways to prepare your dish. In Alcoa, Tennessee, a new shop, The Local Butcher, is bringing back those old traditions of the neighborhood butcher shop.
We are the local butcher, and I say we by Dan and I. We are two former chefs, professionally trained. We've been cutting meat for 20 years. We are bringing back the original butcher shop with real, fresh, locally raised organic meats from nearby local farms, breaking down whole animals, which is no longer done very much, especially in the normal meat markets and such. And we're just trying to bring back real, properly raised meats. We're located actually in Alcoa, Tennessee, 20 feet away from Maryville. Well, it's important to buy locally raised meats because the general industry of meat has gotten a little bit scary. For decades, people have slowly stopped caring about the quality of their meat. As it got cheaper and cheaper, it got far less quality. Recalls are becoming prominent, and it's really important to get back to properly raised animals from nearby local farms where you can actually shake the hand of the person that grows your food.
I think it's very important that people can come into a shop and talk to somebody that knows the farmers and have been to the farm firsthand. They know what is going into the meat. They're knowing what they're getting when they walk out the door. Can have the confidence that what they're feeding their families is healthy for them. They don't have to wonder where it came from or what they're gonna feel like after they cook it for their family. To have somebody there that has a background in the culinary industry can definitely make them feel more comfortable trying new things, new recipes out, new cuts of meat that they've never tried before.
We carry locally raised beef, pork, lamb, chicken, and turkey, all from nearby farms, either here in East Tennessee or just a bit closer to Middle Tennessee, all from either organic practice or certified organic farms. West Wind Farms, certified organic poultry. We also carry eggs. We do Sweetwater Valley cheeses, and we also prepare a lot of things in-house from those meats. As far as prepared entrees go, we do chili to go with our house-made hot dogs. We do sloppy joes. We do meatloaf, fully cooked. We do pot roast. We do lots of gluten-free stocks, soup bases. We make all of our own deli meats, all of our own sausages. We have 16 to 20 varieties of sausage we're up to now. Again, all made in-house, no preservatives, no chemicals, and even no sugar usually. We do get a lot of requests in for larger orders as far as half cows and quarter cows. Right now, we just don't have the manpower to do that yet. We're hoping to get that within the end of our first year. Right now we're getting in about 1 cow per week as far as our retail case goes, and we break it down one piece at a time. All of our meat is usually cut to order. Very occasionally we do put here in our case a few convenience cuts, some of the more popular ones that are just ready to take home and heat up however you wish. Most of the time we prefer that folks come in and tell us exactly what they're looking for dinner. We can make sure they leave exactly what they want.
The items we sell most in the store is sausage. Usually takes first place. We make pound for pound more sausage than just about anything else in the house. We usually run about 100 pounds of sausage a week, and we make about 16 to 20 different varieties. Most popular being some breakfast and Italian varieties. We also do a lot of bratwurst and variations of bratwurst, then ground beef, and then of course good grilling steaks and roasts to special cuts.
We make all of our own sausages in-house from whole pigs. We do break it down one piece at a time. We season it ourselves. We do not use any preservatives, chemicals, unnecessary ingredients of any type. Most of our sausages are sugar-free, almost all of them. Usually it's nothing more than salt, pepper, and spices in any of ours. We use natural casings, and some of them are even smoked in-house. We do make our own bacon. It is an oven-roasted bacon. It's a classic natural cure, 7 to 10 days. We then take it and we slow roast it in the oven rather than smoking it. It gives it a very light, very mild flavor, like a well-seasoned, just kind of pork roast. It's actually really good and extremely popular. We go through upwards of 30 pounds a week. So one of the more unique products we carry is our bacon jam. Just as when normal chefs like to just play around with food, this is a kind of a sweet and savory kind of spread. It's actually made with cooked down fresh bacon, onions, apples, a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of brown sugar, a tiny bit of heat, and actually a splash of coffee because coffee goes great with bacon. And you actually simmer it down until you get an actual jam. We sell it in very small containers such as this, so there's no big commitment, just $2 to give it a try. You can put it on anything. We've seen it go on hamburger buns, hot dog buns. It's gone on cornbread. It's gone into brownie mix. Some folks made us some brownies for it. It's gotten a lot of just fun uses for it. The front end of our shop is actually full of locally raised and locally produced, Knoxville-based ingredients, condiments, barbecue sauces. We actually have some commemorative Alcoa water from the Alcoa plant. We just got in a week ago. Locally made salsas. We even have soap that is made from our beef tallow from here in the shop. And we carry a large selection of Lodge cast iron, which is actually made in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, just a couple of hours away.
I've really enjoyed learning the art of butchering. I've been cutting meat for many years in kitchens, cooking, and it's a totally different experience to start with the whole animal and break it down, you know, piece by piece into what's more recognizable that you would use in dishes, and doing custom cuts for specific recipes for customers. One of the things that brings most of our customers back, and what we hear over and over again, is when they try our meats that have come from farms that are all pasture raised and all natural, they can't believe the difference in the flavor and the texture. Some of them have even tried to go back to eating some of the grocery store meats and the mass-produced meats that are on the market right now, and come back and just tell us what a big mistake it was.
I think it is important for everyone to have their own butcher and chef available to help them pick out the best meats, because meat is very expensive, and it's getting more expensive across the board. It's very important to get the best piece that you're looking for to feed your family and to know what to do with it. And it's great to have a real butcher and chef handy that can help you with that. As far as our most popular cuts in the case go, it's usually beef and what we call the big three. The beef tenderloin filet, the New York strip, and the ribeye steak are the most popular cuts in the house. Being in whole animal butcher shop, we do offer every cut of beef, pork, lamb, chicken, and turkey. And we will break them down to order, and we can usually find a substitute if your budget is a little more restricted and you want to feed more people with a little bit less money. I would say probably the best service we're offering to the local community is just getting back to real butchering and proper meats, and just keeping everyone as healthy as we can.
Earlier in the episode, we met Mike McDearman, who on top of being a grill master is also coach of the 3-time world champion steak cooks and a teacher who loves spreading the good word on live fire cooking. On this next segment, Mike gives us some tips on grilling the perfect steak.
What we're going to do today is actually take a ribeye steak, since I am the 3-time and reigning world champion coach, and we're going to season it up with a little Montreal steak seasoning. When you're at the store, what you want to do is run your finger across the cellophane. Now the reason I say that is you want to feel whether it's soft and pliable. If it feels like the palm of your hand, then it's going to be soft and smooth. Now that's going to melt down and give you all that great tenderness and the flavor that you're looking for in a piece of steak. Now if it's bumpy, like the back of your fingers, then you're going to wind up with a little speed bump feel. Now that typically is hard white fat, but with hard white fat also comes cartilage. And that's what my grandma chews for like half an hour. What we want to do is very simply find those soft white fats in the major portions of the meat. Now you'll see this ribeye has a cap on it. I love this piece of meat. It's absolutely tender. I'll even have the butcher cut this off. Maybe at Porter Road you could have that done, rolled up with some twine, and I cook that up like a filet mignon. Then I'll have this portion size here where I've got a full steak for my dinner as well. So it makes 2 meals as well. But with this steak, soft white fat, wonderful marbling, terrific look. The beef, it looks healthy and fresh. The color on it is great. What we want to simply do is just take some Montreal steak seasoning. It's got salt and garlic and onion and pepper, and it's a terrific little mix. I want to go straight from the fridge to the grill. Now what I'm doing there is actually keeping the fat solid inside the meat. Now you hear all these things that you want to actually let the steak warm up to room temperature. That's not healthy and food safe. There's no prime steakhouse out there setting out steaks on tables in a big room and warming them up before they cook them for you in the restaurant. What they're doing is going straight from the fridge to the grill to reduce your flare-ups, also reducing carcinogens, making a healthier steak. What we're going to do is cook on medium heat. Now medium heat is 325 to 350, and in that is going to preserve 6 to 9% of the moisture inside your steak. I know, I'm contradicting everything everybody says about sear the juices in. Well, scientifically, you do get more juice inside your steak if you cook on medium heat in the slower process. I've already pre-seasoned both sides of the steaks with the Montreal steak seasoning, and I'm going to set it. Oh, hear that sizzle? Look at that beautiful smoke. It's fantastic. Now this actually will put crosshatch grill marks right directly on that meat. You don't have to turn it with this particular unit. So we're going to put the lid right back on. We want that heat circling around that steak and cooking around that meat. What'll happen is we'll leave it 5 to 7 minutes, get a great set of caramelized grill marks, then we'll flip it and cook to an internal temperature of 140 degrees. So first step, go straight from the fridge to the grill. Second step, preheat your grill 325 to 350. The third step is actually going to be placing that steak on the grill for 5 to 7 minutes. Now what you're doing there is you're actually wanting to caramelize the grill marks in. You don't want to burn them in, but on medium heat it'll caramelize the sugars and the protein, giving you sweet meat candy. So it's going to be really tasty for you. Now once you've got those grill marks, now you can peek under it and see, and then once you get those grill marks, flip it over to the second side. And when you do that, your goal is to actually cook to an internal temperature. Now in Tennessee, our winters are different than our summers, so the cooking time will vary on that second side. And that's why I use a digital read thermometer. Now I just put that right down into the middle of that steak and read for 140 degrees. Now I'm going after 140 because food safe temperature on steak is 145. Now, Grandma takes her cookies out the oven and sets them up on top to finish, right? That's the same exact technique we're going to use here. We're actually going to take the steak off at 140 degrees, set it up on the plate and let it rest. Don't stack them up, just leave them separate. And like we've been hard days work, we've gone to work and we've worked real hard, we've come home, we want to prop our feet up and relax, maybe rehydrate a little. That's what we're going to do with that steak because we've worked it on that grill. All those juices have run to the middle, and what we're going to do is let it relax, and so all the juice will stay in that steak and not spill out on your plate, giving you pink potatoes. Look at all this juice staying inside that meat. Wonderful, wonderful flavors. Terrific. It came cleanly away from the grill grate, so you know it's released. It's not going to stick. That's wonderful. I'm going to close the thermometer up, take my pigtail or easy hook, a quarter turn with it, and I can lift it right up. And I'm going to set it on the cutting board and let it rest. Now remember, the reason we're letting this meat rest is because we've worked it on that grill. All those juices have run to the middle. We want it to sit there and relax and let those juices go back out into the outer extremities so that it stays inside the steak. If you ever cut into it too early, it's going to spill out on your plate, giving you pink potatoes. We want to avoid that. So we're going to let it rest for 5 to 7 minutes. What we want to do here is just create a situation where you eat with your eyes and enjoy. So it's coming up on time. We're almost done resting the meat, and I think it's about time to slice in. What do you say? I'm going to grab my knife. Here's a good knife tip. Now with knives, there's different approaches. This is actually a knife we would slice and dice and chop with our vegetables. We do that with this particular knife. What this one is called is a chef's knife. Now I take the chef's knife with my thumb and forefinger on the blade, 3 fingers around the handle. The reason being is it won't turn in your hand. If you hold it back here, it twists if you hit something you're not supposed to. So you want to secure that blade. It also releases the tension on your forearm so you can actually cut longer. For those with carpal tunnel, that's something to look for as well. Now I want to take the steak long ways. You see all these beautiful juices right on top? If you had seared that steak, they would have been boiled out of the outer edges, leaving a drier steak on the outside. So what I want to do is simply take my steak long, oh my gosh, that's just cutting right down in there. I'm going to cut a pinched pinky thickness slice. That's what I'm doing, so it's going to be nice and tender and juicy and velvety. Oh my. Look at that. Beautiful pinkness right in there, food safe, a terrific way to eat steak. Never trust a cook who won't eat his own.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Live Green Tennessee, where we take you all across the state into the farms and businesses of those who are making the move to eating fresh, living sustainably, and helping us all be more organic in our thinking and the way we live our lives as Tennesseans. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live Green Tennessee.
If you would like more information about Live Green Tennessee, please visit our website at livegreentv.org, where you can find everything from healthy recipes to past episodes and more. This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.